In this video, I'm going to touch on the importance of patience and light in landscape photography. On this particular day, both of these factors were very important. I headed off in overcast conditions into the woodland, which changed to reveal bright sunlight, but overall it was a day of constantly changing light, and patience was key.
Looking at a sky so clear, so much to discover here. Setting out on my own, all the places I can go. It's a long, long, long and winding road.
Morning everyone, thanks for joining me in this vlog today. You find me in quite an unusual position, one where I didn't think I would be today, but I'm in a sort of marshland area, you could say. As you'll have noticed in the video so far, I've been walking through a woodland and then I came across this marshland quite unexpectedly. So I really like the look of the reeds, and I've found this interesting tree here behind me as well. So I'll talk about my composition in just a second, but to get here there's been some areas where the reeds are more thinned out, so I've been very careful where I've been standing. I'm trying to stand in areas where there's no reeds growing so I don't do any damage. I think it's always important to look after the landscape each time we're out doing some photography. But anyway, regarding the composition, it's been quite difficult to set up. One reason for that is physically. It's been very important to get the camera height correct. Now that it's on the tripod and I've found the position, it's not an issue, but before that I've been hand holding, crouching up and down for long periods of time, looking through the viewfinder, which I like to do to compose my image. And that takes its toll, you could say, on your legs and back. So if I had a camera with a flip out screen in the back, I could have used live view to make it a little bit easier, but unfortunately I don't have that. But it's been key to get the camera height correct. Get it too high, you lose the nice effect that I'm going for of shooting across and through these reeds. Get the camera too low and you lose too much of the background. So I've had to take that into account. And also off in the distance there's some nice trees to the left with a splash of spring colour and some nice trees to the right. So I've got this main tree position between them. I'm going for a soft image in areas, so I want some of my foreground soft to get the nice effect of the reeds. The wind's really picking up now, and some of the background I'm happy for that to be soft as well. My full attention is on this tree here. The sun has been off to my right, this direction, shining towards me, so the scene has been side lit, and I think the lighting was a little bit nicer just a little while ago when I captured the image. But once the camera got onto the tripod, everything was pretty easy. It was getting the composition right that was difficult. In terms of shutter speed, I've given myself a couple of options here. I've taken a few with a faster shutter speed to try and freeze the motion in the reeds, because they're going to be soft anyway, or some of them will be soft due to the aperture I'm using. I'm deliberately wanting some of them soft. I've also taken a few with a slower shutter speed, but I'm slightly concerned it may make the reeds too soft, combined with some of them being out of focus as well. And that's something I always feel you need to check at home on a larger screen. So I've given myself the two options there. But that's it really for this image. I've got the polarizer on as well, which is bringing out some lovely detail in the clouds in the sky and just taking a little bit of the brightness out of the scene as well. But that's it for this image. I quite like it. When you see it in just a minute you can make your own mind up, but I think it's got really nice balance to it. I've paid a lot of attention to the composition and really tried to get it correct for this scene, or at least correct in my own eyes how it appeals to me. But that's it for this one. Time to pack up and enjoy walking around looking for something else.
all these answers left to find, many mountains left to climb. And though there's valleys down below, I got so much room to grow.
I've captured another image which I'll show you in a few minutes, and we'll talk about that one as well. But before I move on, I thought it quite important to talk about the importance of patience and also light and understanding light in landscape photography. Now, I'm sure you've heard this said many times, the importance of patience and light. You've read about it, but it really is important. And I hope information like this will maybe help some people who are new to landscape photography. So today I arrived here pretty much at sunrise. I've been walking around for hours and I've taken 2 images today. And I wouldn't say that happens every time I'm out. Sometimes images will come quicker, but generally I don't take a lot of images, and quite often I'll spend a few hours out exploring. I think it's really important to be patient and not get anxious. You may arrive somewhere, start looking around, you may not find anything. I think if you're new, there's a tendency to get frustrated and anxious. I think it's very important to be patient and just take your time, and when you actually find a composition, be patient and make the most of it. Really get it set up nice the way you want, and have the patience to do that and the patience to wait on light. Now, at times you may arrive somewhere, the light is perfect and you really need to move quickly to capture it. But at other times, you know the lighting is not ideal and you need to wait. And I also think a good understanding of light and the types of landscape that work in certain lighting conditions, the types of subjects that work in certain types of light, certain times of day, certain lighting directions is really important. So if we go back to the first image I captured today, in terms of the composition, I actually forgot to mention there was a small tree just to the left of my main subject. And in terms of composition, I liked how that main tree was leaning over the small one, as if it's the older tree guarding the new one. So I quite liked that. I thought it was quite a nice balanced image. But in terms of the lighting, I talked about how the light was coming in from my right and the scene was side lit. Now, reeds themselves actually look really nicely if they're backlit by the sun. However, I was never going to get that today because the sun had been and gone from the position where it would be backlighting the scene. But also, I think the direction of the lighting that I got was optimal for that scene. Yes, if it was backlit, the reeds would have looked really nice and had more of a glow to them. But my main subject, the trees beyond, and also the small tree at the front left would have been in the shade. They would have been quite dark compared to the brightness of the reeds. So in terms of lighting, it's important to read a scene and think the optimal lighting conditions for it. And if you're serious about your photography and you think it'll work better another day or indeed at another time of year, come back. Now, regarding the second image that I've captured, which I'll show you, that scene was captured in a backlit condition, but also the sun was very high in the sky, so it was slightly behind my subject and also high above my subjects. And it was really making the scene come alive, in my opinion. I had some really nice atmospheric skies in the distance. The light in the mountains on the distance was really nice, and the subtle backlighting was emphasizing a few really distinctive trees in that composition. Also, I was keen today, I think I spoke about it earlier, to capture some spring colours, and just the sun coming from behind the trees, which I think were silver birch, it was really making the spring greens come alive. So the lighting direction again for that scene was really important, and you need to have patience sometimes to wait till the sun's in the correct position in the sky and the clouds have moved past. And it's the intensity and direction that you want the lighting to be, just to maximize the potential of your scene. So I think in photography there's no secrets, there's a lot of hard work involved. You need the knowledge of how to work your camera, you need to have a good eye for composition. You can always improve that over time, but I really think patience and lighting and understanding those things are extremely important. But at the moment, in terms of lighting, it is quite overcast. The sun has went behind some clouds. There's clouds everywhere in the sky, little patches of blue here and there. So I'm going to go off and see if I find anything else. But if I don't, I'm quite happy with the 2 images I've captured today so far. Unfortunately, the clouds never cleared and overcast conditions remained. I spent my time enjoying the day and I met a new friend, but my camera remained in its bag. You will have heard me mention earlier how backlit reeds look really nice, so I want to show you this image that I captured to illustrate. It's not exactly reeds, but more a mix of grass and other things, but you get the point, I'm sure. Again, I feel I captured this scene in optimal lighting conditions, and as a result the grasses have a magical glow which breathes life into the image. So as always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. I hope you've enjoyed it and found it interesting. Until next time, enjoy your photography and I'll see you in the next one.
Time goes on and seasons change. It's these moments that remain. And no matter where